Are you tired of feeling overlooked and underestimated? Hi, I'm Tammy North, the Introverted Executives Coach. If you're an introverted executive or you're ready to rise to senior leadership, but you're struggling to be seen as a high potential, this podcast is for you. Inevitably, when you're looking to grow in your career, there will come a point where you come to a crossroads and will have to decide if it is time to leave your current organization or not. There's multiple ways to increase your responsibility and impact across your life, and I do encourage you to keep your options open. But as with most things, there are pros and cons to the approach you'll take. This is a very personal decision, and ultimately, you'll have to choose which option is right for you, given your priorities and goals in this season of your life. I've had to make this type of decision a few times in my past, and one was my decision to retire from the United States Navy after 23 years. And that was even though I was still on a positive trajectory in my military career. I made that decision mostly for my family and partly due to my health. I've been retired for almost 9 years now, and given my current life, it is very clear that I made a good choice for our family. Given the small percentage of people who actually have military experience, I'm going to tell you about a different story from my post-military life where I had this type of decision to make. When I'd been a civilian for about 5 years in one organization, I discovered a new opportunity and had to make exactly this type of decision, whether or not to stay in an organization where I was actively succeeding, although after nearly 10 years there, over active duty military time and civilian time, I felt that my growth options were stalling. I was a civilian program manager and had been applying for the next level where I would own a portfolio of programs rather than leading only one program at a time. And in spite of the success that led to my leadership moving me from program to program due to my previous success, including 2 of the flagship programs in the overall portfolio, I didn't feel that I was being seriously considered for that next level. And this could have been for multiple reasons, including my own experience or knowledge gaps. And trust me, I was very open to what I could do to learn more to be ready if it was me. But there was a few other reasons that might have been why I was stalled. So I was really good at tactical program management, and I think that perhaps they wanted to keep me in the role I was in where I was clearly thriving. Another reason is that I'd known the primary person who made all the hiring decisions since I was fairly young and inexperienced. And sometimes it's hard for people to see that you've grown or the degree to which you've grown if you've worked directly with them for too long. Think about your own kids. Even if they become a lawyer, you might not want them to literally represent you for your legal needs. I think it's Dave Ramsey that says, nobody wants to take financial advice from someone whose butt they powdered when they were babies. I think the same thing can happen when you've been somewhere at one organization for a very long time with the very same leadership for a long time. Sure, the leadership has also grown, been promoted, and evolved over that time, but sometimes they may see you as remaining young and inexperienced, even if you've actually outpaced them in your own growth. So when you're feeling like they aren't letting you grow, and when you feel like you're hitting that ceiling in spite of all of your efforts, it's time to take a look at all of your options. So in this situation, when I found out about the new opportunity, which was a promotion in both salary and responsibility, I had a decision to make. I loved program management. I always felt like my team and I were making a huge difference, and that exact kind of work where you are making a direct impact is its own reward and its own motivation. At the next level, managing a portfolio of programs, those positions were always very competitive, and there were only so many positions open at that level at any given time across the organization. So often, once people achieved that success, many of them stayed in those positions until they were ready to retire. So those positions were very highly prized and not open very often. So this is an example where I had an opportunity to take an infinite mindset. I talk about infinite and finite mindsets across different podcasts. When you have an infinite mindset, you realize that you have a bigger purpose or impact that you want to make. It's not all about just one job or one title, but by understanding that you have a bigger purpose, it is really many jobs or many titles that might actually meet your needs. And I'm sure we all know those people that they just want this one title or this one exact job. And when that is where you're going, The only thing that is going to happen is you are either going to win or lose. But if you have an infinite mindset, there are so many ways you can win. So I decided I could either stay and wait for my turn at the table, when eventually everybody would think that I had had enough experience and success, or I could move to a new organization, increase my circle of friends and colleagues, and work on a completely different mission and to some degree a different customer. I 100% knew what I had to do to succeed at the previous place I was at, but I was also sure that if I stayed there, any potential promotion for me was probably going to be 2 to 5 years of me continuing to pay my dues. So my hope today is that I can share some things that you should consider when making decisions like this, and I'll use some of my own personal examples from the process I went through when I made the leap that eventually led to where I am today. So before we jump into these considerations, I want to talk to you about staying or leaving for the wrong reasons. First, if you leave poorly or for a reason that is ultimately inside of you, essentially negative, unresolved thoughts, it's very possible that soon after changing, you'll begin to have similar feelings and challenges at your new organization. So when I'm working with one of my coaching clients who's in transition, I spend a good amount of time guiding them to find the joy at the current organization in some form before they leave. This is where a lot of growth happens. And then as they transition, if they do this work, they will evolve. Here's some signs that you have work to do before you leave your current organization. One is if you spend a lot of time talking about what everybody else is doing, what they're doing wrong, your boss, your peers, new policies, etc. Of course, it is possible that you do have a bad boss or there are toxic people around you, but you can't control them. So spending your energy on all their issues is not going to help you. And two, if you start losing your temper about small things around the office, let me think. There was this old country song in the 1970s called Take This Job and Shove It. And it's kind of a funny song. And I've seen a lot of people have a lot of fun with it at karaoke. But if you get an urge to say a curse word as you walk out the door and scream, I quit, slam the door, spin the wheels while you're driving out of the parking lot, it is very unlikely that a new job is going to resolve whatever is going on with your mind in that situation. So if you get this urge, please talk to a coach before you take any actions like this. We've all seen it in the movies, but it's very emotional when people quit like this in real life, both for the person quitting and for anybody in that person's wake. No one who witnesses it will ever forget it. I mean, sure, it's possible that all the witnesses will actually be on the side of the person quitting, but it's also possible that this person formerly had a very highly respected reputation and that they will never be seen the same again. Anytime that you are feeling generally bitter or angry or very self-righteous about a current situation, you have an opportunity to process your thoughts and grow from the situation. I want to be very clear. I'm not saying that there isn't a reason to feel the way you do. I'm only saying that you are the only person you can control. So when you find a way to leave well, you'll be amazed at how it impacts the rest of your career in a positive way. Please learn to care for your long-term self in this manner. Okay, then there's this opposite issue when you decide to stay at an organization for the wrong reasons. If you do your analysis between this current job you're in or a future opportunity and you decide to stay, even though the new opportunity seems like the culture would be a great fit and somewhere inside you, you might be ready for a new challenge, but you decide to stay where you are out of fear, comfort, or lack of self-confidence, not because you love your current organization. You are actively selecting to hold yourself back. You have just become your own biggest hurdle. Here are some signs that you might notice if you are staying for the wrong reasons. One is if you have dreams or thoughts about a bigger life or a different path you want to go down, but you never tell anybody about them. And I'm not talking about people at work where you are. I'm talking about that you never tell anybody. You never tell your family. You never tell your best friends. You just keep it to yourself. You think it's better to just stay quiet in case nobody believes that you have it in you to succeed at the other path. Instead, you do what everybody expects. You stay quiet, dependable, and you are always trying to make somebody else happy. Another way you might be doing this is if you literally plan out every step of a future transition to a new career. You're highly or even overly educated for the type of role you want. You are a voracious reader. You have an innovative mind and a strategic understanding of your industry. but you don't speak up. Maybe you're afraid your ideas aren't strong enough yet. You do plan on pursuing this career or position eventually, but not now, not yet. You think you might be ready in 2 to 3 more years. Let me give you an example. I have a friend who has a PhD, 35 years of experience, and is financially secure in multiple ways. They have a dream of starting their own consulting business. I talk to them at least once a month, and he usually tells me he's reading something new, taking another course, getting a new certification, or whatever. After that, then he'll be ready to start his new business. This is fear, and it's normal. I have it too. It's much easier to keep learning and consuming information than it is to try something when you might fail. So, in what ways are you using certifications or education against yourself? Are you sure that these certifications are the actual roadblock, or is that just something that's in your mind? So another sign you might be staying for the wrong reasons is that you're fairly certain you will succeed if you try, if you change positions, if you make a big career transition, but there is some risk involved. So you say, I'll make that change after the kids graduate or after some other milestone. What if the bigger risk is that you teach your kids to think small? What if you could have doubled or tripled your income while you waited for the perfect time? Granted, there are ways to build in safety nets for yourself, and I completely understand that need, but often we wait until there is zero risk, when in reality, there will never be a time that there is zero risk. So what can you do about this? Well, when professionals like you reach these crossroads where you have to decide between your current organization or moving to a new opportunity, there are some things you can consider when you're making your decision. One is, are you actually being challenged in your current role, or has it gotten way too easy? If you're not being challenged, it may be time for a change. On the other hand, if you feel like you're constantly being pushed outside of your comfort zone, it might be worth sticking it out a little longer. There's a lot of challenges you could choose to embrace at your current organization if you still want to grow. Leadership development programs, executive development programs, training, career development services, career coaching, tuition reimbursement to get some more college, continuing education courses at a nearby college, get feedback from your peers, from your direct reports, or from your leadership. Ask for additional responsibilities, volunteer for that exciting new project, etc. Does your current organization support your professional development? If you actually ask for some of these things, like you want to go to college or get a career coach or join a leadership program, do you feel like your chain of command is actually supporting your desire to grow? If not, you may want to look for an organization that does. Do you have good relationships at your current organization? How is the culture? Consider whether you feel a sense of belonging and alignment with the values and culture at your current organization. If you feel disconnected or that your values are not aligned with the company culture, it might be a time to explore other options. But if not, think about your boss, your peers, other colleagues, drug supports, other departments. What is the CEO like? Are you aligned with them? Or even other executive leadership? Is your current organization going through some big changes? If so, it might be worth staying, or this might be a good reason to go. Is there some major downsizing going on? What do you think the odds are that your position will still be there? If you actually know or get some rumors of downsizing, consider that it might be smart to move ahead of that. If there's some restructuring, realigning, or major leadership shifts, that also might give you some thoughts about whether you should stay or go. If there's very dramatic growth expected in your organization, that might be a reason to stay. Sometimes you can ride that wave right up to the top. So you're going to have to take a look at what the potential changes are, what is actually being discussed, kind of what the strategic outlook is, both for your current organization and where you think you're moving to. Are you looking for a promotion, more responsibility, more money? Then take a look at both internal opportunities. Maybe you can move to a different department. Maybe there's new opportunities. For instance, like if you are working in HR, but you want to move to IT, maybe you've been getting some education in the background and there's an opportunity to do so, and you may decide you're going to have to go external. Do you want more responsibility? One thing is, I would ask that you don't limit yourself to just your current industry. Look at other industries, small businesses, startups, government positions, and nonprofit organizations. There's so many potential places out there for you. And I think often I've noticed that people kind of stick to what they already know and places that they already understand. Kind of be bold and see if going from, for instance, from education to healthcare or from military to Silicon Valley, there could be some really big changes that are a completely different culture, but might be 100% aligned with where you want to be. Do you want more of an impact? That might be one reason you want to leave your current organization. Consider about the impact you desire to have and the impact you're currently having. And also think about your job satisfaction. Consider whether you feel fulfilled and satisfied in your current role. And if you're not happy or find that your job is not aligned with your skills and passions, that's a good reason to consider changing. What impact do you want to make? What are your passions, your hobbies, your special talents? What changes do you want to see in the world? And then another comparison to make is your compensation and benefits. Consider whether you are fairly compensated for your skills and experience and whether your benefits package is competitive with industry standards. If you feel that your compensation or benefits are not adequate, it might be time to explore other options. And keep in mind, think about all of your benefits. Think about your vacation time, your salary, bonuses, other off time that might be available. Think about travel opportunities. Think about whether you work in office or out of office. Consider all of your package because sometimes you could get a $10,000 or $20,000 raise but lose a lot of freedom. And it probably will not end up being worth it over time. So just be careful that you don't jump for a small bump in pay, but you lose a lot of other benefits. And then I think this is really important, which is decide which opportunity best supports your overall desired life. Consider whether your current organization allows you to live the life you want to be living. If you feel overworked, stressed, or you don't have enough time for personal family activities, it might be time to explore other opportunities. I have another friend who was making a six-figure salary plus and doubled his salary. And when I talked to him, he said, "Oh yeah, my salary is this much." And I about fell off my chair. And when he said that, he told me also that, now he is almost always on travel. He had to travel like 9 months out of the year. So he's never home. And he loves his wife and his kids and never home. So it was not really, he ended up kind of sad about it and it ended up having an overall big impact on his life. That's an example. So which opportunity best supports the life you want to be living? At some point, money is not going to be the deciding factor, I believe. Okay, so if you've been feeling like it's time and you are considering leaving, I have 5 questions I want you to ask before you make any decisions one way or the other. 1 is, what type of overall life do you want to be living 2 to 5 years from now? How about 10 years from now? Write all the thoughts you have about this in your journal. Let yourself dream. 2, think about your life today. How close is your current life to the life that you wish to be living in question 1? Write that down. 3, if you feel stuck in your current position, after listening to this episode, list all the things that you think are holding you in place. 4, have you noticed any new opportunities recently? What's caught your eye? Why are you interested in them? Write that down. And then 5, think about the considerations in this episode and write about which position, your current position or this new position, which one would best support your desires in each category: the challenges, professional development, culture, organizational change, promotion opportunities, changes in responsibility and impact, compensation packages, and of course, which one best enables your desired life. Write your thoughts about each of these areas in relation to the new opportunity versus your current position. And of course, it's always a great idea to talk to your executive coach about these thoughts once you have them captured. So ultimately, the decision of whether or not to leave your current organization is a very personal one. It depends on your personal goals, your values, and your priorities. If you take the time to carefully consider your options with an open mind, you'll be surprised at all that is available to you. Carefully consider your options and make a decision that aligns with your long-term life and your career goals. Keep your focus on what is right for you and your family in this season of your life. This is a great topic for a session with your executive coach. I believe in you and I know that you can find success either way. I just want to make sure that you're staying intentionally, or if you leave, that you are leaving for the right reasons and that you're leaving with class. I'd love if you'd send me an email or send me a DM on Instagram for some accountability. If you decide to intentionally stay, get in my DMs on IG and tell me you are staying in your organization and why, that you have decided. And if you decide that it's time to leave, send me a DM and tell me why you decided to leave, why you love your reasons, and how you plan to leave with class. On Instagram, I'm at Introverted Executive. I can't wait to hear from you. You can connect with me at Introverted Executive on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. If you're ready for executive coaching to help you achieve your biggest career goals, subscribe to my weekly Rise and Shine newsletter. There, you'll find out when my program opens for new clients, and you'll also receive weekly tips and activities to continue to make a bigger impact in your own powerful way. You'll find all the information and links down in the show notes. See you next week.